Let me hit you with the truth that might sting a little. Your mistakes were never the problem. It's the story that you tell yourself about your mistakes that's keeping you stuck. Welcome to day 2 of the self-compassion reboot, from self-criticism to self-connection. I am Angie, your inner glow coach, and today we're talking about something perfectionism absolutely hates: making mistakes. But here's the thing: mistakes are not proof that you're failing, they're proof that you're living. And today I'm going to help you reframe them in a way that supports your growth instead of attacking your worth. You weren't born afraid of making mistakes. You learned that fear from criticism, pressure, comparisons, expectations, or environments where being anything less than perfect wasn't emotionally or even physically safe. To your nervous system, a mistake doesn't feel like a small slip. It feels like rejection, humiliation, or even danger. So when you mess up, even in small ways, your body responds like you've done something catastrophic. And that's why your inner critic comes in hot with, "You should have known better. You're such an idiot. Why do you always do this? See, this is why you can't trust yourself." That voice isn't truth. It isn't even you. It's projection. It's actually outdated projection. So here is the shift that changes everything. A mistake is not a personal flaw. It's data, it's information, it's feedback. It's actually a learning curve that every human experiences. Mistakes don't define your worth. They reveal what you don't even know yet. And that word "yet" is the difference between shame and a growth mindset. Because when you can say, "I messed up, but I'm learning," you can move from self-attack to self-connection. And this is the heart of day 2. So my personal experience with this, well, I have many stories, but a major one is my surfing journey, because surfing is extremely hard. And I used to be the kind of person that, because I'm a perfectionist, I'm actually a recovering perfectionist now, but I used to be hardcore perfectionist. But I wouldn't even try something or stick with something unless I was immediately good at it, because I just couldn't handle making mistakes or not being perfect at something. But the reason why I stuck with surfing, because it is extremely difficult and nobody is perfect right off the bat. The only reason I stuck with it is because it was COVID and there was nothing else to do, because the only thing that was open was the ocean. And the more I tried and learned from my mistakes, the more I grew. And initially, I would be afraid to try new things because I didn't want to look stupid and I didn't want people to judge me and blah, 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 blah. And then one day I decided, like, I was tired of my slow progress and I wanted to be a good surfer. And I made the decision that I care more about improving than I did about making mistakes or anyone judging me or any of the bullshit stories I had about making mistakes. And I am not even exaggerating. My growth in terms of progress was exponential from that point forward, because I made so many mistakes and I was using them to learn and grow and get better. So I am telling you from experience that this works. So, what is the new habit that we are going to incorporate when we make a mistake? So, usually, what happens when perfectionists or recovering perfectionists make a mistake is you get that initial nervous system response. Your body tenses, your chest tightens, you have the spiraling, ruminating thoughts, and then your critical inner voice kicks in. So, first of all, awareness, which we learned in day 1. Second of all, if you do have that intense initial nervous system reaction, we know the 90-second trick to take care of that. So the first step is to pause and regulate. So have the awareness, regulate your nervous system in the tools that we used in day 1. Step 2, replace the self-judgment or your inner critic with curiosity. So, for example, Now, when I surf and I make a mistake, I immediately go into what would I do different next time? What can I learn from this? And I just completely skip that whole process of beating myself up and letting my inner critic attack me. I immediately turn it into a learning experience. And that starts with curiosity. It's not forcing yourself to come up with that lesson right in that moment, but it's just to start the thought process of this is a learning opportunity. How can I use this to my advantage? So then the next step is to further process it and like, is this a lesson in setting a boundary? Because this is a whole different thing. And I actually have a people pleasing masterclass coming up, which boundaries are a huge part of it. And I don't think it's ever possible to be perfect at boundaries. Maybe some people are. I'm a recovering people pleaser. I'm good at boundaries maybe 80 to 90% of the time. I am not perfect. But when I have that lesson, I'm like, I just remind myself I need to be better at boundaries. With surfing, sometimes it's just a skill gap and I need to improve my skill. I mean, there's a lesson in everything. So acknowledging the situation with curiosity and then naming the lesson and then so that you can learn next time. So it's not just acknowledging and naming the lesson and moving on. You actually have to apply it the next time it comes up. And it's a process. You may not be perfect the next time either. And then the last step after you make a mistake, just offer compassion to the part of you that's hurting. Because what's the saying? What you resist persists. So if you are pushing away your feelings and don't want to feel your feelings, they're still there. They're just going to come up at a later time to deal with them. So just deal with it now and just acknowledge that you're a human being. And yeah, it doesn't feel great that you made a mistake. It doesn't feel great that you're not perfect, and that's okay. So just have that moment of compassion, even like, because right now, just thinking about doing this, I'm putting my hand on my chest. Because even that physical touch of offering that compassion to yourself just reminds you that you're human. And the last part of this that I want to talk about is my critical inner voice used to be a raging B word. And when I really started the practice of exploring curiosity and self compassion and all of these practices, one of the things that really helped me reframe how I was talking to myself and how I was treating myself was asking myself if I were talking to a friend or someone I loved and cared about who made this exact same mistake, what would I say to them? And 10 times out of 10, it was something way more loving and compassionate than I was saying to myself in that moment. So, if that's a helpful tip for you, then because again, awareness is key. So, when you're in this moment of awareness and being an observer, that's a perfect time to be curious and ask these kind of questions. What would I tell someone I loved? And for me, and this could be you too, I used to not love myself. So that was another reason why I was treating myself so shitty. So that could also, open up other self-love practices once you start being aware of that. But why this is important is because when you stop punishing yourself for mistakes and criticizing yourself for mistakes, you actually start participating in life, meaning you take more risk, you're willing to try new things, you speak up, you allow yourself to be seen. So, self compassion doesn't just make you more loving and gentle to yourself, it makes you braver. And there's a lot of us, and I used to be one of these people. I was not living in the fully expressed version of myself. And the world needs more fully expressed people shining their light and not giving a shit what anyone else thinks. So, mistakes are stepping stones and learning opportunities. They're not proof that something is wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with you. So, your homework for day 2: when you make a mistake next, because you will, because we're all human beings, whether it's big or small, just pause, Be aware and regulate your nervous system as necessary. And just tell yourself, this is information. Ask yourself with curiosity, what is this moment teaching me? And then I actually recommend taking this one step further and writing a journal. Write in a journal and first of all, keep track of all your wins. When are you being aware? Because that alone is a win. What nervous system regulation techniques work? Because again, it's not just that 90-second in the moment technique. There should be things that you're doing every day. So what works for you? Journal about your experiences. So you can also write down your lessons in a journal, and that might be a way to remember the next time it comes up. So if this message resonated with you, hit the like button and subscribe, because tomorrow is day 3 and we're diving in how to soften and even befriend your inner critic instead of fighting it. So I will see you tomorrow in day 3.